LadyLucidity art. Hello there, my lovelies. For today's baking video, I'm going to be making some Christmas biscuits. These are actually more traditional German Christmas biscuits, and I'm not going to try and pronounce the name. My German pronunciation is horrible, so I won't offend anybody. But my husband and I have bought these for many years, and I decided why not try to make my own. So here's a quick list of what you'll need, and I'll put weights and measurements in the description box below. So in here I have some bicarbonate of soda and some cinnamon. In this cup here I have ground almonds, which is what will be making up the bulk of your mixture. Some pre-softened butter in my little ramekin. Some delicious looking clear honey, which will give it its natural sweetness. And in here I have my flour. So you'll notice there's not any sugar in these biscuits, and that's because the honey and almonds combined will give them their sort of sweet taste, and the cinnamon will give them a little bit of spice. So you don't have to make yours into stars, but I happen to have some very nice star cutters. So I have some thicker ones and some thinner metal ones, and even a snowflake cutter, which you might have seen in previous Christmas videos. So I'll just pop those to one side. So for your topping, I'm using chocolate chips that I'm going to melt and dip my biscuits in. You could use milk, white or dark chocolate for this. I'm just using milk because that was what was readily available. So nice and easy. Pop them to one side. So we have all of our materials. Let's get baking. Here is my lovely mixing bowl. So first we're going to put our dry ingredients together. So this is our bicarb or baking soda and our cinnamon. Next we'll want to put in our ground almonds, so just pop those into the bowl. And then lastly, for the dry ingredients, we'll need our flour. Okay. Let's just give it a quick mix round, just so they're good and mixed in together. Okay. You don't need to be specific about anything at this stage. It's just sort of put in the bowl and just give it a rough mix over, because when we add our wet ingredients, that'll be when the mixture comes together. Okay. So next you'll want to pop in your butter, and obviously if it's pre-softened, that makes this a lot easier to mix in. You could use a food processor, but I'm more than happy to use a good old-fashioned wooden spoon. Okay, so just scrape out the last of it. I want to make sure I have every little bit of butter. Okay, so Now to gradually mix in your butter into your flour mix until it has a crumbly consistency, so something similar to this. Obviously it's still quite dry, but once you pop your honey in, it'll be a lot stickier. Okay, so the fun part, let's pour in the glorious honey. Doesn't that look satisfying? I love pouring honey. Actually, one of my favourite drinks is honey and lemon. Really sweet with a bit of kick. Glorious. Okay. Make sure you've got all that yummy sticky goodness into your bowl. Okay. And again, mix in. Now this is where you'll need to be a bit more thorough. You don't want any dry flaky bits, so it might take a bit of time to get the consistency. If you feel your mix is still a little bit too dry, you can add a teaspoon of warm water just to help it bind, but if you are going to do this, I suggest you do it in little bits, just in case. You don't want to overwet your mixture. So it should look something like this. Now, I have pre-floured my surface, ready for rolling and cutting, as you don't want your dough mix to stick to your surface. At this stage, I'm just turning it over, making sure nothing sticks to my surface. Give it a good press out. Okay, just press and roll. Press and roll. Okay. Now, I found that leaving the dough a little bit on the chunky side actually made for fluffier, tastier biscuits. So don't roll your mixture out too thin, and don't be afraid if it does look a bit chunky. They will rise a little bit, but then they will start to harden in the oven, so you don't have to worry about having giant biscuits unless that's what you want. Here's my handy star cutter. So, when cutting anything out of pastry, I always give it a little wiggle, and that helps to get the mixture out of my cutter. So, it's just a simple press and wiggle. So, press and wiggle. There we go. Very much rinse and repeat. So I have quite a few stars here, and with the excess pastry I will actually re-roll it into a ball and make more. So the recipe that I have says that it makes 35 biscuits, I believe, but I think mine were a little bit bigger, so this ended up making more like 25 to 30. And this is what they look like when they've come out of the oven. So nice and puffy, but still with that biscuity crunch on the outside. So next, I'm going to melt my chocolate, which is always fun. And we're going to dip our biscuits into the chocolate to give them a nice biscuity, chocolatey coating. So this is what they look like after I gave them a bit of a dip. They still need to harden in the fridge, but I also added some sprinkles. They're not the neatest or prettiest looking biscuits, but I can assure you they taste really, really yummy. So I would say definitely try this at home. This was a lot of fun to make. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.